Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha Kuhaloyimla, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai to the best of their ability. And this is H.I.M on the Waf. Just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And just wanted to touch on this article in BuzzFeed. And, through the Spirit, we can see that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man or the so-called white race, everything that they pushed out on the earth to destroy us is actually coming back to bite their ass, because there was, during slavery, of course, we couldn't learn how to read, things of that nature, Then once we did kind of somewhat get on that level of learning how to read, so to speak, after whatever amount of time it took for them to actually allow us to, they come up with these IQ tests and shit like that. And then, they present the IQ test to the so-called white students that have always had that curriculum before them, that shit that they've always been taught and studied. And then they give it to our people. You know what I'm saying? And knowing full well that we didn't have the same opportunities or the same teaching and had never seen any of this information before. And then that's the way they put together the IQ test and say, well, AC, they're dumbasses. But now what we're starting to see with this place, and this is mainly Edomites, man, because them so-called Chinese kids, them fuckers can read. Japanese children can read. Those Indian children can read. Shit, I know Jake, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, they can read, but they even falling on that shit too. But I know, like, my generation, like, what I'm saying, shit, we could actually read, what I'm saying, like, we can actually see what something is saying and break the shit down. Like, I understand that, there wasn't no spell check when we was growing up. We didn't have a damn text, and you ain't had to finish off the word. You know what I'm saying? I can write in cursive right now. You know what I'm saying? And probably if I wrote this title right here in cursive and pass it off to one of these newer generation kids, they'd be like, what the fuck is that? That should have looked like a foreign language to them, right? But anyway, let's jump into some of this article. And it's really just, just a reaping what you've sown type of lesson, man, because Esau, they push dope in our hoods. Now all of a sudden their kids are all on fucking dope, fentanyl, and all kinds of shit. All the things that they done to destroy us, it's backfiring and it's falling on their asses. Just like how they broke up the family home. They took the father out of the home. Now the so-called white man, he's a baby daddy. He's going back and forth to court over fucking child support and shit. That shit wasn't meant for them. That was meant for us. But guess what? That shit is on their asses now. Them curses are starting to reverse. Matter of fact, let me grab a quick scripture before I get into this. It's not going to be a long lesson, a little before camp. I seen it. I was like, wow. Man, I'm reading through it like, this shit is really that serious. I knew, but I didn't know to what extent, because these are actually teachers, professors, and from grade school on up to colleges and shit like that, saying these motherfuckers can't read. Straight up, man. So it is what it is, man. Beautiful though. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. What's that? 30 and 7. It's a lot. Yep, it says, and Yahweh, thy God, will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Right? So these curses that were put on us, they're starting to land on our enemies now. And Esau is our enemy, man. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you believe that this race of people like your ass and ever will, you're a goddamn fool. And they're about to show you that too in the near future, man, when they really come down the pipe with their new world takeover, rather. Anyway, let's chop it up on some of this article. It says teachers are opening up about the kids can't read crisis in schools, and the situation is much, much worse than any of us realize. It says, and COVID didn't cause the problem, but it was like throwing a gas can on the fire. The educational crisis has been a topic of discussion on everyone's mind lately, whether it's educators making TikToks revealing that children are functionally illiterate, the research showing the multitude of ways screen time negatively impacts academic success, or the oncoming threat of the Project 2025's plan to eliminate the Department of Education, The truth is, the kids are not all right, and no one knows that better than teachers, right? So these are teachers that are explaining that these fuckers are dumb as hell. Been saying it all along, right? And they talking about this screen time in here, and that's really what it is. It's, the kids been past their goddamn. You see these kids in these strollers with these fucking these laptops. That shit is not it's really to keep the kids quiet. You know what I'm saying? To let mommy have her peaceful time. Keep their little asses quiet. You know what I'm saying? They're not learning anything really on them damn things. You're better off giving your toddler, if you're gonna give them a tablet that they just gonna look at all goddamn day, you better off pulling up a YouTube channel with them learning how to fix a damn car. At least they'll know how to fix a car when the asses are old enough to slide the asses underneath one, or be tall enough to get underneath the hood. They'll know exactly what's going on with the car by the time they turn 7. I mean, for real, you might as well give them a trade. But let them watch some shit where they'll have a trade. All that bullshit they be showing. Put a movie on. Some demonic ass Disney movie or some crazy shit, man. Anyway, bro, let's read some more. It says, so recently when Redditors asked teachers, how bad is this kids can't read thing, really? I knew I had to share some of the most enlightening responses, from parents not reading with children anymore to the phasing out of phonics. Here are 17 educators who got honest about the reasons behind the jaw-dropping decline in literacy. Now, I'm not going to read all 17 of them, but we'll get a couple of them just to show you how serious this shit is. This very first one says, I teach in one of the most affluent districts. What's affluent? A rich or wealthy neighborhood. And trust me when I tell you, it's nothing but so-called white people there. And you can see right here, they got this little picture right here. These are your affluent, your so-called white kids. And they have nothing but access to drugs and sex. And they be doing the worst shit when we just don't see it. And then they have these lawyers where when their kids get into all this bullshit and all this trouble, they wipe the slate clean. They're rich. You know what I'm saying? They have a lawyer come through, expunge this, expunge that bullshit. So you don't get to see the types of crimes that these really rich children be committing, man. But it says, I teach in one of the most affluent districts in my state. We are also nationally known for having a strong public education system, of course. And my 7th and 8th grade students aren't able to read a word aloud if they haven't seen it before. They don't know how to sound it out. And when they attempt to, they add unnecessary letters or omit entire syllables, to the point where if I weren't also looking at the word, I wouldn't even be able to guess what they're trying to say. Oh, man. It says, regarding reading comprehension, they can regurgitate facts found in a text, but cannot draw meaning from it. And when asked to summarize, they can't determine the main points. Literacy across content areas is a primary focus at the school, so we do a lot of reading to understand the practice and teach many strategies for it. But so far, they aren't really sticking with the students. All right, so I've been teaching the same subject for the 9 years at the same school. And while I noticed this is a little at the start of my career, I have noticed a major increase in this deficit over the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah, they're becoming stupid as hell. And Esau wants it that way. And that shows you how stupid this man is. That's why the scriptures talks about him being a base man. He's base. Because why would you not want your children to be educated when all the other nations' children are being educated? I think them kids in China, I think they go to school like 14 hours a day. You have probably 3rd to 4th graders in China that's smarter than college professors here in America. Easy, because they're into that. They have and see, yeah, with this social media shit, China they king of social media, but they're not allowing their kids to look at stupid dumb shit all day. If they're looking at anything on social media, it's something to educate them. But not here in these Americas, these motherfuckers is stupid as hell, bro. I know right here where I live, the average person can't read or write here. It's serious, man. Okay, but it says number 2, COVID didn't cause the problem, but it was like throwing gas on a fire. Whatever delay was already occurring got a solid year head start to become even wider, and then another year of substantially worsened progress while kids were aging all the same. This person says, my aunt and my uncle have been university professors at a large state university for over 3 decades. My uncle teaches undergraduate philosophy, and my aunt does later undergraduate and early postgraduate anthropology. My uncle said that from the early 1980s through roughly the winter of 2021, only a single digit number of students in his intro classes had to drop the course because they were so behind on reading skills they couldn't engage with the material in any way. However, from the spring of 2022 to the fall of 2024, he's had about 20 students drop intro courses for the same reason. It used to be that at a university, student with elementary school reading level was relatively unheard of, but as of late, he's been getting at least one or two per course. He said that while reading and writing problems were worsening over the past decade, it was more of a linear decrease. Now it's become exponential. I'm gonna get one more, man. Number 3, it says, I have 3 students in middle school who are reading at a first grade level. The majority of them are at least 3 grade levels behind. Today, I asked them to read a passage to themselves and tell me the words they didn't know when they were done. The state we live in was one of the words they frequently mentioned that they could not recognize. You don't even know the state. I mean, the state, you see that shit on, generally, people are, proud about their colleges. You might see, generally you'll see that shit on hats and shirts and, people just, you'll see that shit, a bumper sticker on the car, generally you'll see what your city, state and shit like that is, you know what I'm saying? That's just something natural. And you can't recognize your state? Through, bro. Anyway. Number 4, why do teachers keep getting asked this question? Do people think seasoned veterans with 15 to 20 years of experience are lying all of a sudden? It says, look, students can't write sensically. They can't write legibly. They can't analyze a source or a text. Many of them can't tie their shoes. They can't sound out words that are not incredibly difficult words either. They have no clue about history or how it impacts them today. Hey, yeah, and this is what Esau wants. You know what I'm saying? See, when it comes straight down to this slavery and things that of what this nation have done to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they trying to wipe all that shit clear and clean. This new generation of students, and you give them another generation, man, they'll make you think that there was never slavery at all. That's what they're really working on, man. But see, the Lord is requiring that past, man. And he's now putting these curses on these people. Because remember, again, we could not read. If you got caught reading, they whipped your back in. But if you got caught reading the Bible, or you was dying. They was killing your ass. And so once Jake started to, get into it and got on somewhat of a fair playing field, which we're still not, and then you start to see, like those great debates. They even had a movie with Denzel Washington, Great Debates, and things of that nature where, of course, now the so-called black mind is against the so-called white mind, and even like with that movie Get Out, remember the movie Get Out, what they basically wanted to do, because they kind of made it seem like we were stupid in the movie. Oh, but look at those great athletic bodies. If I could just put my mind in one of those great athletic bodies, trying to make it seem as if they're smarter than us and we're just genetically more athletic or better built than they are. But no, we're smarter than they asses, man. We're spiritually, emotionally, physically, you name it, on every level, man. Us Israelites, man, none of these nations are fucking with us, man. It's just that they've been controlling the narrative for so long, and they're in control of the curriculum and the educational systems and everything else, man. These people try and destroy us from the womb. I just done a lesson on the C-sections that our women be having. You know what I'm saying? For the child to come through that birth canal the way that they're probably supposed to, that plays a lot in the way that the child develops and grows up. And then especially, breast milk. But what does Esau do? He pushes formula on our kids, you know what I'm saying? Get to talking about they got ADHD and all this bullshit. You got them locked in a goddamn class for 8 hours a day. Every now and then you might have that teacher where, we're going to go outside and, kids learn better, man, when they're in those types of environments. But this guy, he sets up prisons for these children to learn in, man. Concrete jungles and shit. But anyway, and they deserve this shit. They deserve it, man. I really got to say they deserve it. This place is the laughing stock on the planet, man. All this money. That's why Trump talking about getting rid of the education department. That's how bad it is. He's talking about, man, fuck that, man. Defund that shit. Right? But this shit goes on to say, uh, I had I had a student ask the Norman invasion happened in ancient Rome. Their learned helplessness and general fearfulness, but also their non-existent sense of boundaries, are a major detriment to both their education and future. It is bad. And personally, I think representatives of K through 12 schools and universities should be having talks with Congress and the military. See that? The military will always need enlistment, but it also needs highly educated officers. Even the quality of enlistment is going down fast. I have friends who are officers in the armed forces, and I know people who teach at the Airway College, and they're worried. Everybody who interacts with younger people is worried. Everybody. Oh man, I'm gonna end out there, man. I'm not gonna keep this long, man. But it's a great article because it gives you the mindset of what these so-called white people are really thinking on right now, and they're losing, man. Sirach 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And that's what we're witnessing. You used to toot your nose up, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to university. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? And this is all over the world. This is not just America. It's all these Edomite nations. These are people that wrote fucking dictionaries, man. The size of a damn house, damn near. They in the 1300s, 1200s. You know what I'm saying? Way back. You know, they were highly educated. You know, they you know, that was a big thing of being educated at these universities. You know what I'm saying? In places where really Jake couldn't afford to go, or if they could afford to go, they weren't allowed to get in there anyway. You know, and they started coming up with these little state schools and shit like that. You know, these so-called these community colleges and bullshit like that. But overall, man, this place is done. If these kids didn't have their phones, man, they wouldn't know what to do. Their phone, and that's the reason why, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be so easy for Esau to slip that chip on their ass. Which is beautiful. I say, come on with it, man. Yeah, let's speed this shit on up. For real. Speed it on up, man. Let me get this one too, though. Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. You've been sowing all that bullshit on us for how long? Now you're starting to reap that shit, man. And you know what they're about to reap next? Slavery, captivity. The words of the Lord, man, don't go out void. These words are true. Some seed take a lot longer to grow than others. You know, a cucumber seed is far different than an apple. You know what I'm saying? It takes you know, years, decade or so. You know what I'm saying, for an apple tree. You know, probably about 15 years. I remember us planting one when I was a kid in our backyard. And shit, man, I don't know how long it took that damn tree to produce an apple. It took a long time, though. I know it was over a decade. Seemed like, I know at least 10 years, 12 years. I don't know, something like that. But like with cucumbers, you plant cucumber seeds, shit, you can get them bitches in a couple of months or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You got fruit. Some seed develop, you know, later. And see, this is what Esau didn't realize, that when he put us into slavery and he done all these treacherous things to us, and all those things that he done to us, those things are starting to backfire and come back around and bite his ass, man. Because you reap what you sow. You can't get around it. These scriptures is true. So you have a part of what they done as far as, you know, that dope that they pushed in our neighborhood when that crack shit was going on. They done that to us. Destroyed our families with that shit, man. Now all their kids are on fentanyl and all kinds of damn opioids and all kinds of, you name it, crack, cocaine. They shooting up you anything they can get. Anything they can fucking get. Alcoholics and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to remember, they pushed all that on Gad, the tribe of Gad, the so-called Native American Indians. Now all of a sudden it's a mental health issue. But shit, Jake and them still in jail from crack, cocaine. You know? Joe Biden with his bullshit bills. You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff is starting to come back to bite their asses, man. You know, like I said again, they separated the homes. Now all of a sudden their homes are crushed too. Their women are taking their asses to court and taking every goddamn thing from their asses when they used to be together arm in arm, you know, at church service on a Sunday. You know, 2-3 cars in the driveway, the white picket fence, all that shit is over with, man. These Edomites are starting to be seen for what they really are and who they really are. Right? So all these things are starting to backfire. So what's about to come next is this right here. Let's get this real quick. This Revelation 13, and let's start at verse 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. See? That's a clear, what they call karma. What goes up must come down. This right here is reaping what you've sown. And they don't want to hear that, man. The last thing they want to hear is this, because they really feel like, well, that was a long time ago. But the Lord requireth that pass. The Lord ain't forgot about that shit. That was a long time ago in your mindset or your timing. That shit was like yesterday to the Lord. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. This is what's coming to these people. All these prophecies are going to play out. All the shit that they've done is going to come back to bite the ass, man. And they're not going to get away with it. Just see it's what it is. I mean, just think about it. They really was whipping our back end if we was caught with a book. Then the one, you know, they only allowed pretty much one guy to be able to read, and they would give them the slave Bible. You know what I'm saying? Telling them obey your master and all those types of verses and shit like that. And that was it. That's why when you see that movie Nat Turner, or you know the movie the little boy, like he's reading, but they don't understand that, you know, hey, they got a damn Bible hidden in the barn where they sitting down and they really listening to the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? He's actually bringing the scriptures out. But that could have cost him his life and everybody's life in the barn. You know, you was taking a real chance if you was caught reading that Bible, man. A whole Bible, not the slave one. Come on, bro. That was very valuable. That was a very valuable book back then. But I would have to say, me speaking as a man, you know, I find it ironic that you went from not allowing us to read to your goddamn kids can't read. The affluent ones. You think the affluent ones, I can see the trailer trash ones. But we talking about these are your people, that's your politicians too. These will be your future politicians. Here you go. You had to drop the qualifications for these young men, which it shouldn't be no young women, to actually join your military. How you got somebody in this motherfucker that can't read, but he's got nuclear launch codes and shit? He can't read the directions on a grenade. He fuck around and blow everybody up. Hey, but I mean, hey, you gotta find it funny, man. What is that, 144? Oh yeah. So I'm gonna end out right there, man. I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yasha Allah and a Bible ball.